Welcome back to Farming Smarter. It's Mike Gretzinger here, and we're in one of my favorite crops, the hemp trials. The trial that we're in today is our hemp agronomy rate by date trial, and this project is sponsored by CAP, Canadian Agricultural Partnership. So what we're doing today is we're taking a whole bunch of really important data for these trials. So the first thing that we're doing is we've got pre-marked quadrats in the plots themselves. And we're going to go in and we're going to go back to where we took counts in the spring, and we're going to count again the males and females. And from what Dr. Jan Slasky has explained to me is that under stress and different conditions, we're going to have a different expression of male to female plants. And what we're going to see is where that happens for this trial. So we're going in, we're going to take male-female counts, and then we're going to get a crop biomass. We're going to take 4 rows of crop where Trevor's counting right now, and that's going to give us a meter squared of crop. Then we're going to take, once that dries down, we're going to get the crop moisture, and then we're going to take a grain yield. And so we're going to harvest the small samples through a harvester and get a grain yield for all these plots. So over here we've got Trevor, and he's in plot 109, I believe. And what he's doing is he's got the meter stick down where we've taken our spring counts, and so he's cut 1 meter row, and right now he's separating all the male and female plants. So that's going to give us the ratio of male to female plants. Then we're going to cut the row beside it as well, and we're going to do the same thing in the back. And so we're going to bulk all those together, and then once this crop's dried down, we're going to take it back and thresh it through the combine and get the grain yield on all these plots. And we've collected all of our samples for the different treatments now, so I'm going to give you an in-detailed view of how each of them are looking. So we're going to start here. This is our early timing. So we've got 3 timings in this rate by date trial. We've got an early timing, a normal timing, that's right here, and then we've got our late timing. So in southern Alberta here, this is irrigated hemp, and for us early is the beginning of May. For a lot of crops, as soon as you hit kind of May 1st and go on, you're starting to lose yield already. So in a crop like hemp, where we typically push back seeding rates or seed it when all the other crops are done being seeded, we're still finding for our region some advantages to seeding early. So this would have been seeded May 4th. Our normal seeding rates kind of just after May long, and that's when we've typically seeded our hemp. That's about the May 17th. And this is our late date. This is June 3rd, and really you don't want to go in and seed many crops June 3rd, but in a lot of other parts of the province, and even here, depending on the season, if you have to seed late, hemp is a really good choice. You aren't going to lose as much yield as other crops, and in some cases, especially some of the other parts of the province, it's even pretty recommended still that you're going to seed later. And sometimes even as an IPM strategy for weeds and other things because of limited in-crop options. So I'm going to give you a little more detailed look at each one now and see some of the interesting things that are going on. So like I said, we separated our males and females. So we have a count. These are our male plants here who just pollinate and then die off. And these are our female plants there. So our first treatment is the seeding dates. And then we're doing that by the seeding rate. So our seeding rates are 100 seeds per meter squared, and for finola that's about 10 pounds per acre. Then we've got 250 seeds per meter squared. That's our typical seeding rate. That's right around 28 pounds per acre. And we've got 400 seeds per meter squared. This is a really high, like ultra competitive IPM type treatment, or typically more of a fiber type treatment. This is 400 seeds per meter squared. This is about 40 pounds per acre. So first thing you'll notice, there's a ton more plants the higher our seeding rate compared to the lower seeding rate. You also see the heads are going to be a little bit smaller compared to maybe a normal or a lower seeding rate. And we're going to see that difference as you move along for each of the seeding rates as well. So this is typically kind of what we've been recommended. This is our 1 meter squared. This is 250 seeds per meter squared, 250 seeds per meter squared, or 28 pounds an acre on May 17th. And this is our 250 seeds per meter squared on May the 4th. So if we can get away with seeding earlier, my prediction is that we're going to get a little higher grain yield in this one. Not every year, but just looking at the biomass difference from date to date and looking at the seeding rate differences, I think this is probably my winner. This one looks really good too with the 400 seeds per meter squared, but I don't know the economics offhand on the seed cost for that. And one of the other interesting things, the reason we're doing all these seeding rates and seeding dates is, you know, we wanted to know if you go in really early, maybe you're not going to be able to get away with that lower seeding rate. So if you're seeding at a more typical time, you can compare these hundreds. You know, you can maybe get away with a lower seeding rate if you're doing it at around mid-May. If you're going early May, that might be a challenge. But same thing on the high end. If you're seeding really late, you know, maybe a low seeding rate is the way to go. Look how big and long and crazy these heads are. Maybe a normal seeding rate's the way to stick. So we're gonna flesh all this out with the statistics. This is year 2 of 3, so we're just taking all the data we can from Lethbridge, Vegreville, and Sarda, and we'll see what happens.